Welcome to Nonprofit Profiles. I'm Genevieve Riatort. Today we're going to hear about Connections for Children. It's a program that helps both childcare providers provide excellent service, and it provides referral services for mothers who are in need of childcare. With us, we have Patty Oblath, Executive Director, and Judy Laureano, Program Director. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having us.
Well, Patty, we'll start with you. Can you tell us a little bit about the history of Connections for Children and how the program got started?
Connections for Children started nearly 40 years ago now, when a group of women at Family Services of Santa Monica saw the growing tide of women entering the workforce who needed child care. So with a small grant, they started a program to provide referral information for families. And a few years later, the City of Santa Monica granted Connections for Children funds to set up an emergency respite program for child care, so that in severe situations there was some funding for families to access child care services that they needed. And we've grown since that time, and now we still have the same mission of providing information and resources for all families, and financial assistance for those families who are eligible, to help working families and those in school to pay for child care services. And then we have a wide range of educational programs for those who are working with children.
That's so wonderful. It's exciting to hear about a program that's been around for a while, supporting families and helping women to enter the workforce, stay in the workforce, and make sure that their children are well cared for. Judy, can you tell us a little bit about your role?
Well, I'm the Resource and Referral Manager, and we provide the resources and referral listings to parents that call us looking for child care. We base our searches based on what the parent is currently in need of, and we educate them with the options that are available. A lot of parents are usually just familiar with the center-based programs, so our staff is equipped to give them the resources, information, and things to look for, as far as, giving them the information with licensed family child care home, as well as center-based child care.
I have to imagine for a mom or a dad that's looking for child care for their child, it can be hard to know exactly what to look for, how to watch out for red flags. So it seems like your program is really helpful.
We get a variety of parents that call. There's some that really are just calling and have really no idea what's out there, and so we really give them the tools as far as things to ask when they're calling, what to look for, and really encourage them to take the time to visit a few of the places just to get an idea, because there's such a huge variety of environments out there, and you don't really know what might be the best fit until you actually go out and see for yourself.
Well, it sounds like that's a really needed service.
Yes.
Patty, can you tell us a little bit more about what other services are offered by Connections for Children? I know that you have programs to help, as Judy was saying, the parents that are looking for service, but I understand that you also help childcare providers in providing better service.
We have a wide range of services. We have a toy loan program. We have a couple of vehicles, a van and another vehicle, that make site visits to child care programs, bringing them toys, because toys are children's key tools for learning, so you have to have a constantly changing supply. We have training programs for those working in child care. Every week we're running training workshops at our office, and we've set up a curriculum of 10 areas that cover the core knowledge needed to provide quality care to children. And so we have a rotating repertoire of workshops, and we have a wonderful new program called Gateways for Educators, Gateways for Early Educators, that offers one-to-one coaching. Our staff, who Judy's team, go out to child care sites and help the providers translate what they learn in trainings into the work every day with children, and provide pointers, model best practices, And all of this is designed to increase the quality of childcare that's available within our community.
That sounds so wonderful. How many childcare providers do you think that you're serving at this time?
For our service area, which ranges from about north of Malibu down to the Palos Verdes Peninsula and includes Santa Monica, Culver City, Westchester, the airport, Torrance, and Lomita. We serve there are about 775 childcare programs in that area, and
Wow.
I'd say that we provide ongoing services to a good half of those. So
That's great. And how about families that come and access your services?
on average, we serve about 4,000 families a year.
That's a lot of families.
And the intensity of service ranges from information, as Judy talked about, to providing financial assistance for them to pay for child care. So.
Well, it sounds like you guys are doing a wonderful job. Thank you so much for being on the show and telling us about the great work that Connections for Children is doing. I know that in my own experience as a mom, I've used Connections for Children to find childcare resources, and I know what a great resource it is for parents out there. So how can parents who want to find out about your services access your organization? Is there a website they can go to?
www.connectionsforchildren.org, and we have our staff on call on a regular basis at 310-452-3325.
All right, great. Well, if you would like to access their services, it's connectionsforchildren.org, and that's for childcare providers as well as parents who might need help accessing childcare. Next, we'll be hearing from some of the childcare providers about how they are able to benefit from this program. Thank you so much for being with us on Nonprofit Profiles. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Nonprofit Profiles. Now we're going to hear from the child care providers that work with Connections for Children to provide excellent child care for families. We have Lisa Wilson. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
And Rocio Diaz. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Lisa, we're going to start with you. Can you tell us a little bit about your child care program?
It's in Santa Monica, and we start at 12 weeks old and we go to 6 years old. We also have a private kindergarten program.
And it's Trinity Baptist Children's Center, is that correct?
Uh-huh.
And so tell me a little bit about the kind of education that you provide for preschoolers.
It's called developmentally appropriate education, so we make sure everything is at their level. They can reach, they can discover, they can explore on their own. We're also NAYC accredited, so we make sure that we have like a pre-academic element for them so they can be prepared for kindergarten one day. We teach them social emotional skills, how to regulate their emotions, resolve conflict through language.
And what ages of children do you serve?
12 weeks old, we start as infants,
Wow.
and we go all the way to 6 years old.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
great. And Rocio, can you tell us about your child care program? I understand it's a home-based program.
Yes. I'm a child care provider located in Santa Monica, and we provide child care for infant to 6 years old. We have a variety of activities on a daily basis. We have circle time, music and movement.
I remember circle time.
And we read books, and we do lots of science and math, and we do cooking. So we do measuring with our measuring cups and spoons. So we allow our children to explore, and of course everything is age appropriate. And we just, have a very warm and loving environment for them.
So how has your involvement with Connections for Children enhanced your service?
Connections for Children has been an amazing resource for me. They have workshops that they have there for providers and other families, and it's pretty much open to the community. And they actually refer families to me and providers in the area, depending on where the parents need childcare. And so we go from there.
That's Great. And Lisa, can you tell me a little bit about how Connections for Children has helped your service?
Absolutely. Connections is a wonderful program. It's for families in need that cannot otherwise pay for childcare, so they subsidize the childcare, and so their children are able to come to a preschool program while they go to work or go to school, better themselves, or both. So, and Connections has wonderful workshops and training for parents, as well as myself as the provider. My teachers can attend those workshops weekly. So it's a great resource for everybody, really.
And I would imagine that there's some kind of camaraderie that comes around from meeting other people who are in the same field,
Oh,
doing
yeah.
the same kind of work.
It's
Right.
encouraging. Yeah.
Right, it's a great place to network with other providers and the staff there at Connections for Children. If we have any questions, you know, they have a lot of resource information about anything that we need. They pretty much cover that.
All right, so let's go back to preschool. Can you tell us what a typical day is like at your facility?
For my facility, our typical day is in the morning. We greet our families and our children. We have different activities set up on the tables, and we have breakfast, we have circle time, and we read books. And then we go outside and we have a variety of activities throughout the day.
And how about at your place?
It sounds the same. We're pretty much, we do the same. We make sure that we greet the families. And then we have enrichment programs at our school as well. So we do like creative dance classes, you know, music and movement, music program. We also offer, you know, additional classes for the children if they want to take yoga or French or private piano or Spanish classes. We have those available for children as well. So it's just about an opportunity for them to explore and learn to use their social skills at school. Hopefully they will take them out of school and use them at home as well, what they're learning at school. So.
Wow. Yoga, French, piano, dance. I want to go.
Yeah,
Sounds like a
fun.
lot of fun. So how do you think that it affects children being in a preschool program versus not having a preschool program? How does that affect how they are able to adjust to school, how they do in school, their future academic progress?
I mean, I think that preschool is an opportunity for them to practice for the future. It's helping them develop their life skills that they'll need to be independent, learn to resolve conflict through language, so they're able to practice that on their peers in a preschool setting. And the parents feel safe when they have a loving, licensed environment they can count on and trust. And so that's a huge, you know, that's huge for families.
So, Rosie, I'm going to put you on the spot. Can you tell us a story about maybe one of the kids that have been at your school?
Yes, well, one of our 2-year-olds, they're barely learning to use their words and talk, and it's really rewarding and really fun to watch them grow when they're 2 years old and they can say the whole alphabet and sing "Baa Baa Black Sheep" on their own. It's really amazing to watch them grow.
That's so exciting. It must be really rewarding for you to see
Yes.
that development happen.
Yeah.
And how about you, Lisa? Do you have a story about one of the kids at your school?
I have stories that will last from here until infinity.
All right,
but
well, let's just pick one.
I mean, children, they just tell funny stories, all day long. So it's interesting to hear what goes on at home based off their interpretation. So as they're reenacting things in dramatic play, if they just had like a new sibling that was added to their family, they're able to talk about it, express themselves through dramatic play with a baby doll. They have a baby now. So things like that, I mean, it's fun to be around children, and it's encouraging too. So.
Yeah, well, I remember, my kids are a little older now, but I remember those preschool days and how much fun they were.
Yeah.
So I really commend you both for the work that you're doing
Thank you.
and
Thank
helping
you.
to educate our future leaders in your preschool programs. And I'm glad that Connections for Children is able to help provide you with services that make your programs even better.
Thank
you
you.
so
Thank
much for
you.
being with us.
Thank you.
Well, next we will hear from some of the wonderful board members that help to make Connections for Children work as the wonderful program that it is. Please stay with us at Nonprofit Profiles. Welcome back to Nonprofit Profiles. We are going to hear from some of Connections for Children's board members. We have with us Will Nicholas and Irene Valverdes. Welcome. So Irene, tell me about how you first found out about Connections for Children and why you decided to join the board.
Well, for me, it's a personal story in that I had used Connections for Children a few years ago, and they had helped me find childcare and then a preschool for my oldest son, who's now 8. So when the board was looking for a marketing specialist and a friend of mine called me, I just jumped at the chance because I knew how important it was and how much they had helped me. So it's a very personal reason for being on the board, and now I know so much more that they do, so I really enjoy it.
That's so great. So you really came from it as a client. You were someone who used the service.
Exactly.
And Will, how about you?
Well, so that makes 3 parent client users sitting here together. I hear that you had used Connections for your children too.
Absolutely.
I have a personal story too. Yeah, when my wife, we had our first child, my daughter was almost 2 years old and she was thinking of going back to work. We needed childcare and we found out there was an agency in the area who helped families find childcare, and we called, and she ended up in a place that was just phenomenal. We were just incredibly happy with where she went, and we thank Connections for Children for that. So that's how I heard about Connections for Children. And then in terms of the board, somebody who was on the board at the time, who was an old family friend at the time. I was working at First 5 LA, which is an early childhood funder in the LA area, and she knew that I was working there, and we had mutual friends, and she gave me a call, and I was thrilled. So that's how I actually became part of the board.
Wow, that's so exciting. It's so nice when you're able to access a service and then find a way to be able to give back as well.
Right, right.
So I understand that the board is pretty hands-on. So it seems like you guys all are really actively involved with the organization. Can you talk a little bit about what your service is like and how you interact as a board member?
Absolutely. Coming from a marketing perspective, I've really been working with Connections on communication and getting the word out. Just all of the stakeholders that affect Connections for Children and impact Connections for Children. We've really been proactive because there's so much going on out there. It's more important than ever for people to know that we're here and that the services that we offer.
That's great. And how about you, Will?
Well, one of the ways I've been able to get involved lately is I'm in public health. I'm at UCLA. I'm a teacher and researcher there. And obesity is a big public health issue now. And we are very aware of the fact that kids spend a lot of time in childcare, and that's one environment where we can teach about good nutrition and physical activity and make a difference in terms of reducing obesity. And so we decided that was a direction that we wanted to go in, and because I had some students who were interested in that topic area in one of my classes, and I had colleagues that were experts in that area, I was able to get that piece of our program rolling, and so that's.
So does that mean that you help to educate the child care providers on good nutrition and help them to support the kids in developing those good nutrition habits?
It's right. It's just the environment itself, what kinds of food options there are. It's incorporating nutrition messaging into the types of play and interactive activities that the child care providers engage in with their kids. Yeah, exactly.
So I know that it has to be, with all that's going on right now, a very difficult funding environment. Can you talk a little bit about how you deal with the challenges of, funding cutbacks and just, generally less funding available for all kinds of programs, but education programs in particular? How do you manage those challenges?
It's definitely been such an interesting environment in the last few years, and it continues to change. So one of the first things that Connections for Children did was really become much more on top of private funding and going after private funding and awareness for the public sector and the community. So that's something that we've been working on quite a bit. Santa Monica has been always very supportive of Connections, and we're so thankful because they've been sort of an anchor for us. But we are definitely looking at other ways for fundraising.
Well, I would imagine that part of of how you tell that story is just really helping people to understand that investing in children at this very, very young age really pays back exponentially. Can you speak a little bit about how you personally feel that the impact of investing in young children makes a difference for society as a whole?
Oh, you know, I'm, as I mentioned, I'm a working mom, and I have 3 children, and I'm in it right now.
Oh, yeah.
I have a kindergartner and a preschooler. So just to watch them grow and to see the importance of early child care and what Connections is doing in the community is phenomenal. You know, the socialization, the interaction, the independence that comes out of early child care is phenomenal for getting kids ready for kindergarten. And you know, personally, having experienced it, I think it gives kids just the confidence to go to kindergarten and to be ready, to hit the ground running, and to go to a larger school. It's just so impactful to have that socialization early.
So let's just pretend that we live in a world where there was no Connections for Children. What would be the difference?
Well, you know, building on what Irene's saying, that early, it would be it'd be a sad world. I mean, the kids' early experiences. I mean, I'm come from a research background, and we've built our knowledge so much, especially in the last 20 years, about the importance of early environments on kids' development, and having interactions with caring and knowledgeable caregivers, and opportunities to socialize with kids your age. It's an investment in the future for little kids that, you know, you talk about the tough times, the economic times that we're in. It's an area that, you know, we can't afford to cut. I mean, we're in it for the long haul, and we'll be here. There will always be young kids that need those nurturing environments. But it's now in particular is the time to invest in young kids, because that's how you save down the line, because you start kids off for a better future.
Well, thank you so much, both of you, for your service. I know you're a volunteer board, and it's really inspiring to hear about the work that Connections for Children is doing, because, you know, the children really are our future, and the more that we can invest in them and help them get started on the right path, the better off we're all going to be. So I really thank you for your service and for sharing your stories with us here. And I thank you for being with us on Nonprofit Profiles. I hope that you, like me, are inspired by the work that Connections for Children is doing. If you'd like to find out more, it's connectionsforchildren.org. And thanks again for being with us on Nonprofit Profiles.
Choosing childcare is one of the most important decisions families make. As a parent, you want to know your children are safe and cared for. Connections for Children offers free childcare referrals, financial assistance, and parent education programs to suit your individual needs. Let us help you make the childcare connections you need. Call Connections for Children today or visit us online at connectionsforchildren.org.